Hi guys, and welcome to the vlog. This one's gonna be a little bit different. We got Eric here with us today.
Hey guys.
We're gonna do something a little special, a little different. We usually do travel stuff, right? Well, we're throwing in a new show for you guys. We're doing some tech stuff, yay!
Tech stuff! Woohoo!
Roll that intro here, and let's get going. I think today we're going to focus on like the components and stuff like that and give you guys an idea of like if you're going to build your own computer, what you should look out for and what type of components you should get.
And I also went with the AMD platform, we'll say that up front, because AMD has committed to the AM4 socket for the chip for the next like few years, like 2021, 22, so you know that's pretty good. You know they're going to introduce new chipsets, like the dies are going to get smaller. I think this one's at 12 nanometer. They're going to get out to like 10 nanometer and stuff like that. Dies, just improving the efficiency of your processor, basically what that is.
All right, guys, we have to scoot back just a little bit because we got some stuff to show you. So, where do you start with any good PC build?
Motherboard.
Motherboard. And what one did you go with?
I went with the ASUS ROG, the Republic of Gamers. I don't know, I'm not really a gamer. But anyway, Cross Hero 7 motherboard. And I went with this for a couple reasons. One, it's obviously the right chipset, which is obviously important, AM4 chipset. Two, it has a ton of USB ports on the back. Like most only have 6. This has like 8 USB 3.0.
That's very important. There's lots of USB devices anymore. Right. You probably have a ton too, so.
Plus it has a USB Type-C front panel connector, which we'll see on the case in a little bit. I think the looks of it and the compatibility with ASUS motherboards across the board is really good on all components like RAM, video card, processor. ASUS is just known for really solid BIOS. It was a little bit more expensive. I will say that this version of the motherboard was high 200, so you know it's not for everyone. You can find way cheaper options for like 130, 140 into AM4 Pro that'll do you just fine. But I went with the fully loaded, fully spec'd out, you know, board for that.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next component.
Our next component, we have the Ryzen 5 2600X processor. I went with this because it's the second generation Ryzen. Obviously, it still uses the AM4 chipset. You can see the chip right there. I just went with this because I feel like it's a good balance. It's got 6 cores, 12 threads, so heavy workloads, it'll churn through those like butter. Plus it's a good gaming balance. Like a lot of games right now don't utilize 6 cores, 12 threads. Usually I think 4 is the sweet spot for gaming, but I don't game that much. I do a lot more productivity on my computer, so
there you go.
That's what I was building this for pretty much.
Right. And someone like that might be doing heavy graphics or video editing or anything like that.
Right.
Maybe you would want something beefy like that.
Right, you know, it's gonna churn through everything. I think the base clock is 3.6 and it boosts up to 4.2 across all cores, so you know.
Well, there you go. That's power to spare.
Heck yeah. And then, so moving on, our next component we'll be talking about is we need something to push some pixels onto the screen. So let's do the video card next. Video card I went with is the EVGA GeForce GTX 1070 Ti.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. It is also the For the Win 2 card, because I'm going to win with this. I don't know.
Now, like, talk about video cards for 1 second. Like, there's so many options. Like, I mean, if you were just going to do basic web browsing, listening to music, and doing stuff like that, you probably wouldn't want to go for something like this, right?
That's awful. Yeah, this is a higher spec video card. Like, it's not the highest you can get. The 1080 Ti would be the highest you can go, but I would say if you're going just basic web browsing, maybe you want to fire up the occasional game. Maybe the 1060,
okay,
GTX 1060 or the AMD Radeon RX 580 would be a good suggestion.
So there you go, just some options, you know. I mean, you don't have to go crazy with this, but you know what Eric's using it for. He wanted to go a little bit higher end, and also, like I said, future-proofing, just in case, you know, one day he might decide, hey, he's gonna become pro Fortnite player.
Maybe, you know, here I come, Ninja. No.
Oh, right. Okay, and the next component we're gonna talk about is the
RAM. Gotta have something to move all this data around.
And honestly, for me, like doing video editing and stuff like that, the RAM is almost more important than the processor in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you need a good processor to push it, but if you don't have enough RAM, you're not going to be able to do a lot. So I almost always recommend going high on the RAM than low. You know, if you're going to spend the money and you're like, oh, between the pimped out processor or the RAM, I would always go a little extra on the RAM.
And so I went with the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro, where you're going to start noticing an RGB trend here, and these components that are coming up.
There you go. See the pretty little lights in there? That looks, that's RGB stuff. It looks pretty awesome.
This is Corsair's newest RAM. It's got 12 addressable RGBs built into the top of it individually, and it's got like a little white diffuser you saw kind of on there, so it'll spread the light out better. So this is a 32 gig kit. I went like you said, I went the highest I could go. I went 32. I wouldn't suggest it if you're trying to stay on a budget. 16 is a really good number to hit.
For most people, yeah, I think 16 would be perfect. I mean, I honestly, even with Windows 10, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend anything less than 8. Would you?
Not any less than 8.
I would say go with the 16 minimum, like Eric said.
Right, and then if you want to go crazy, 32. This is 3,000 megahertz speed RAM 2. Ryzen process. The Ryzen platform actually benefits from higher RAM speed. So,
all right. So we got all these beastly components in there. How are we going to keep it cool?
This is a Corsair H150i. And of course, again, you see the RGB because
the pretty lights.
That is a thing that we're going with here. We kept it all in the Corsair family too, but this is a 360 rad, meaning it's the 3 120mm fans. It's actually Corsair's slimmer line, so the radiator itself is a little bit thinner.
Which, like, I mean, for your case, right, you chose, that's why you were thinking about that, right?
I was thinking thinner to not be so bulky, because when you see the case, you'll understand it's all tempered glass in the front and side. So, but I chose 360 rad because it's got a lot of surface area on the radiator, and it'll blow a lot of air across that and keep, dissipate more heat more quickly. So the fans won't spin up as fast, and the system will be more quiet.
Right. That's very important too. You don't want your fans cranking away and all you hear is wee.
Right.
All right. And the next important component is the hard drive.
In modern systems nowadays, a lot of people are using SSDs and stuff.
Solid state drives.
Solid state drives, right. So I went with for my Windows installation, my application drive, it's going to be the Samsung 970 EVO drive.
Now, why would someone want to go solid state over I know this is a hybrid, but I mean, if this was just a regular drive or whatever.
So your read and write speeds are going to be exceptionally higher on solid state drive. Something like a solid 2.5 solid state drive. This reads and writes up to 500 megabytes per second, but the NVMe drive, the Samsung, will go up to 3,700 megabits. So that's like 3.7 gigs per second of read. So you can just imagine the speed difference, and then your hard drive is about 100 megabits per second. The speed difference in loading applications is far less, and your NVMe drives also will use PCIe lanes. They're dedicated PCIe lanes to your processor, which means that you don't have to go through the SATA 6 gig limitation. It's limited to the PCIe lanes on your motherboard.
Well, see, there you go. You can push a lot of data through that thing, and that's going to help with things like startup times, like you said.
Yeah.
Your computer is going to boot a little bit faster too off this than it would just off a regular hard drive. So that's all stuff like pushing the performance and more like future-proofing your computer. You want to go with something more like the solid state. If you're gonna go for any computer nowadays, I would look for something like this. I mean, maybe you don't have to go this extreme with it, but at least definitely do the solid state drive.
Solid state drive, yes.
And you're gonna see a definite improvement on opening apps and startup times and things like that versus like just a regular old hard drive. Now this one isn't just a regular old hard drive, right?
No, this one is actually a 2 terabyte Seagate FireCuda drive, which is a hybrid drive. So it has some flash memory built in to help speed up the reads and the writes. It only speeds it up maybe by 50 meg, but it's still, that's gonna be my download drive, my my, storage for pictures drive,
Right.
large files drive.
I mean, practically, when you're building these things and when you're buying these things, you want something for storage and to store things on. These are awesome for like launching your programs and stuff like that. Your workhorse and your storage is gonna be mostly on this thing because there is a little bit of a price difference between these two.
The value per gigabyte is way better with one of the mechanical hard drives than it is a solid state drive. This was for 2 terabytes was around $100. This for 500 gigabytes was around $170.
So you can see you're paying for the performance with this thing. But that's what you want to do, right? You want your C drive and your boot drive, and that you're running all your stuff off of this thing, and then this is just in the background for you running your or keeping your storage.
So and then so we do have the little ADATA 250 gig SSD. That is just going to be dedicated to games.
All right, well that's enough of the hard drives.
Yes.
All right, so you got all these components in there. Now you need one very important thing for computers, and that is
power supply.
Power supply. And you went with?
I like the EVGA G series, so I went EVGA 850 G3. The G series is actually a more compact design, and it's fully modular, meaning that all the cables that you plug into, you don't have to plug everything into it. Like if you're only running like 1 or 2 hard drives and like your main board and your CPU power, you plug 3 cables in and you're done.
And that's important for you for like if you're going, or anyone that's building a computer with like the clear side.
The tempered glass, yes.
You don't want the look of it to like be all cluttered with extra cables that are just hanging off your components unnecessarily. So,
and I went with the 80 plus gold, which means it's way more efficient. It'll actually shut the fan off on this power supply when it's not like in heavy use or whatever, to also keep it more quiet, but also for energy savings and stuff. The reason we chose all this 850 watt power supply is because I'm pushing 9 fans. I'll admit it, I have a problem.
He went a little overkill with the fans, but he went all RGB.
So I went with the Corsair LL, which is light loop series fans. They're their newest fans. They have 2 light rings, so like the inside has a light ring and then the outside has a light ring. So the fans will light up and then the actual outside of the ring will light up too.
Right, so it's very important to keep that air moving and stuff like that, even though we have the liquid cool fan
for the CPU.
For the CPU, we need case fans for all the other components. And that's basically what we're doing right here.
And you don't have to go RGB all of your fans again.
But if you're using the clear case, you might
want to do aesthetic build was what I guess
aesthetic build, right?
And to control all these fans, because your motherboard doesn't have 9 headers for fans.
No.
We are going to use the Corsair Commander Pro. It is a RGB fan hub. So these fans all have 2 plugs on them. They have the power plug, which we'll plug into here also, but it also has a RGB plug. And the RGB plug is so you can use the addressable RGBs and make it, your case do cool displays. It'll spin in sequence throughout the fans.
And that's what this does, right? This controls all that.
So that does control that. And then you need one of these, the Corsair Commander Pro. This just plugs in, this RGB cable will plug into the Commander Pro. It's got 2 ports. You plug your fans in sequence. I don't know if you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this. And then that's what controls your pretty little, light loop. Corsair's got a bunch of presets, which I pretty much use, or you can create your own, whatever, if you want to get into that.
This case is going to be blinging.
It's going to be blinging.
Okay, so you have all these awesome components. Where do you put it?
Nice computer case.
Nice computer case.
This is a mid-tower case. This is the Lian 011 Dynamic, and as you can see, is from the it's totally tempered glass here and tempered glass on the front as well. It's going to be aesthetically pleasing and very functional.
So all the RGB stuff is going to look awesome in there. Now, if you're gonna just do like a regular case, not with any of the glass or anything like that, you don't have to go RGB because no one's gonna notice.
I mean, sometimes the front panels will be clear, so you can put like, you know, or you can see through them. You can do that, like. But yeah.
So in summary, like, you know, we went a little crazy with it. Eric is going a little crazy with the build here, but he wants to future-proof himself.
Yep.
With the build, so that's why we're going a little heavy with it. But you don't have to go this crazy with it, you know.
I mean, for $1,100, you could probably get away with a really good system that actually will last you for 5 years at least.
But this one we're gonna go ahead and end right here. We're gonna put like the links, if you click in the description there, we'll put some links to some of the components, so if you wanna like check them out on your own or whatever, you can go look at them. Maybe you're interested in building your own PC and you thought, hey, that thing looks awesome, where do I get that at? So we'll link all that stuff down below in the description. All right, catch us in the next video for the build.
Yay!